this episode of Playlog, we're talking about the final update to Dead Cells, the weird streaming rules of Black Myth Wukong, and the current state of people of color in video games. Hey guys, CGDannyB back in with another episode of Playlog, the podcast where we talk all things indie gaming. But of course, talking about indie games alone would be super boring. So today, like any other day, I've got my partner in crime, the Playing As Kid themselves, Tofr. What's poppin', homie?
I am very distracted because Gamescom is happening right now.
It's on the other monitor.
Otherwise doing fine. Like,
hell yeah, dude.
How are you?
I'm doing good. I had this pulled up. Wait, Monument Valley 3? Is that what?
Oh, wow.
This is probably going to happen a lot this episode. We're probably halfway, if not over halfway through the show. But I started watching it during the pre-show, got through it. We ran through the show, and I was kind of having it on to see what's going on. Really, we're getting to Monument Valley 3. I was not expecting that today. Not on my 2024 bingo card. But yeah, it's been a solid day. I'm a little sleepy because I lost hours to Black Myth Wukong, which we'll talk about later in the episode. But spoiler alert, pretty fun time. Oh man, but don't forget, as part of this podcast, we have a fun thing we do every month, which is our monthly book club, which will be next week's episode. We'll be going back and replaying some classic indie games or playing some modern ones that we just haven't got a chance to do yet. And this month we are doing Kentucky Route Zero, a magical realistic adventure a magical realistic adventure game about the secret highway running through the caves under beneath Kentucky and the mysterious folks who travel it. So if you want to get involved with the episode, play the game for this month, which you have a week yet, so you better get on that. We have to do the same thing. Then head over to Write Inform and in the description to give us your thoughts on Kentucky Route Zero for next week's episode on August 27th, live on Twitch. And then you can watch it on YouTube on the regular Thursday afternoon upload. Yeah, that sentence was butchered. Don't worry about it. You got the point. Anyway.
I just noticed something that's going to piss off some people. The Monument Valley 3 is coming exclusively to Netflix games.
Damn. That'll do it.
Yeah.
That'll do it.
Yeah.
Although if they put I don't know if the first two are on Netflix yet. If they are,
they're going to be. They mentioned that they're going to be released on Netflix as well.
Cool. That's cool.
Yeah.
Kind of sucks. And Netflix is like a platform now. Where you're like, is it on PlayStation? Is it on Xbox? Nah, dog. It's on Netflix. Go play it over here.
You can play it on your smartwatch.
Honestly, that'd be kind of cool. I don't own a smartwatch. So many people do. I do not. But
I just thought you had an invisible one there. You were pointing
maybe I do. I do that bit a lot, where I do the checking the time. I'm like, and there's no watch, just to be like, come on, man, let's speed it up. Like, that's funny shit. Oh man. Now, to break the ice real quick, remember you can write into the show and ask us your questions about gaming, content creation, life, and etc. And we'll read it right here on the show, just like Super 96 did. Super writes in and asks, hold on, there's a paragraph, give me a second. When it comes to indie game development, what are your thoughts on using pre-made assets, whether it's being models, music and audio, or textures? While it's understandable that making something from scratch can be worth more time, effort, and money, can using pre-made assets make an indie game feel that much cheaper, or is it more understandable when considering the long-term development process, especially for smaller teams? Do you think there are also limits on how much you can rely on using pre-made assets? As someone who went to school, media arts animation, I made a lot of 3D models. Haven't used my degree, but that's just everybody in life. Thank you, art school. I personally am one to want to make all my own stuff and use other things as reference, or even if I do have pre-made assets, modifying them to fit my world, my space. That being said, everybody's process is different. I think as long as you're doing things within legal means and you're trying to personalize it a little bit, I see no problem with it. I think things like try to get here with the Valve games, the Gmods and everything like that. I know those are all their assets, but there's a very generic feeling to a lot of the maps and things there because everybody could just throw in the same assets. So I understand that perspective. I can't think of any blatant moments where I'm like, oh, they literally just took the thing from this game and slapped it in this one, unless it's a studio following up on their own IP and we put this doesn't happen. The companion cube in Half-Life 3. Oh, you see the reference. That's just shit you do for fun, shits and giggles. I do think it can look tacky if you're just throwing pre-made shit in there and it doesn't really match the tone. If you have a classic Renaissance looking curio cabinet with a modern rounded awkward table, you're like, that doesn't really fit the tone. So get things that match, but I guess whatever your game needs, do what you gotta do. Just don't do illegal things.
Absolutely. Like the everything you need to make a game is available now in so many different ways. I remember you had like this game called Dreams on
Mm-hmm.
PlayStation where you could
Yeah.
make your own games within that game.
Yeah.
And
It was
if
pretty
that
cool.
if that gets you started on creating video games, then why not use those means? These assets exist, so they would be used. It's
Mm-hmm.
nice if you can personalize them, but you don't even need to like make a big hit. And I might step on some people's toes right now, but Pal World, for example, feels very much like we took a generic world that looks a lot like a Zelda game, and we put this Pokemon-esque creatures in it that don't fit with the tone of the world at all.
Yeah.
But listen, people love it, and
Yeah, we
so
do.
yeah, it depends. If you can make like something that feels worth playing, then it doesn't really matter where you got like your assets.
Yeah, I think I agree with that. Doubling back to Dreams for sure. I had picked up Dreams. I played through their campaign, and I played it so early where like maps and games weren't made yet. Like there was nothing really to
Okay.
do unless you wanted to make stuff. So I kind of fell out. I've always had this intent of going back and seeing what else existed in there. I know Media Molecule has made like some of their own. They did whatever, I forget the name of like the default campaign you could play, as well as I think it was called Tren, which was like a little like put the train tracks down and move your guy there. I had
Oh.
installed that or updated Dreams to play and just never got around to it. But I think the resources in Dreams are really cool because you can make all these models and then they go into just like a big catalog for people to kind of take from and put in their own stuff. I'm sure there's so many great creations on Dreams, and it's just a weird niche platform that it's like try to justify people to get into it. I think had that game been free to play at launch and giving people the tools to make, and then you can pay if you want to play type deal, I think it would have been such a different story for how that came together.
Mhm.
I know support has ended to some degree for Dreams, which kind of sucks, but yeah, use the resources you have. Don't be shitty about it. If you took something from someone and you didn't pay for it, but it's free assets, give credit where needed. You know, there's a lot of rules. Just be good about it.
Exactly.
But let us know what you guys think about pre-used assets, and if you're a scrub, nerds. Timestamp. Anywho, we'll move on to quick indie news here. We have 2 articles up today. The first one being that Dead Cells has received its final major update. This one is from Ed Nightingale over at Eurogamer. Dead Cells receives its final major update today, 7 years after release. This is also from August 19th, which is yesterday for us and 4 days ago for you guys listening? Something like that. Math is hard. Dead Cells today, a couple days ago, has received its final major update. The end is near after 7 years of development. This will be the 35th update to the game, which has received a number of DLCs to expand gameplay and reference other popular games, from Castlevania to Hollow Knight. The End is Near expands on the curse mechanic and 3 new mobs, 3 new weapons, and 3 new mutations. Then we see the trailer. However, the cursed mobs won't randomly spawn. Instead, there's a new biome, Cursed Biomes, players can select in exchange for extra rewards. In addition to the updates, including new legendary fixes, over 60 new fuck me, I can't read numbers, Tofr. 40 new heads. I lied about like 30 extra heads. Over 40 new heads to customize the player character, new routing between levels, and more accessibility options. These include adding a background to text to improve readability, an option to invert character player and camera movement, our rework to the auto hit assist mode, and more. Full details can be found on the Steam post. You can also see the update in action in the above video, in which developers Motion Twin and Evil Empire thank the game's community. And then we see the tweet for tagging Motion Twin from Evil Empire showing the trailer for this new update. Tofr, this might be one of the games with the most updates I've ever seen.
Yeah, it's gonna rival like No Man's Sky, I guess.
Yeah.
But it's
Just
cool.
true.
Like it's such a beloved game, and
Yeah.
I love that they still put effort into it. Like 7 years into it after its release.
Yeah, I love seeing this, dude. I know they're working on Windbound now. I'm distracted because there's something Black Panther happening on my other monitor, and
It was a Marvel rival.
yeah.
Thing.
Is that Bucky? What is that? Hold on. This is not indie at all. Wait, Captain America? Sorry, I should not be.
I think I noticed that all heroes would be unlocked and free to play from the day of release.
Hell yeah! Oh god, that is Bucky. What are we doing? Bucky and Cap. Something. Okay, hold on. Sorry, we're indie gaming here. Sorry, Dead Cells. I'll make this an after podcast thing. I'll worry about it later. But now I'm intrigued. But yeah, we were talking about all the updated content. Dead Cells. It's great seeing how many people love this game. I know people who don't play indies that like, quote, don't necessarily like go out of their way to play indies. But like Dead Cells is one of their favorites. I know my buddy Chris plays a crap ton of Dead Cells and he loves it. Seeing that this finally comes like to an end and they're going to put all their, I don't know necessarily about Evil Empires. I'm not sure what they're working on next, but Motion Twin putting all their efforts into Windbound being their next, very similar to Dead Cells, but like third person action adventure type deal, roguelike adventure is going to be cool. But it's so weird to see it like finally end. I feel like I just constantly see these updates about, hey, here's more Dead Cells. Now I won't see more Dead Cells stuff as we move forward. So it's kind of crazy.
The end of an era.
Hate to see it, but we also love to see it. There's nothing else important here. Yeah, it's kind of the wrap of the article. But yeah, there's 35 updates worth of content for you to go play in Dead Cells. So if you ever say there's nothing to play, you're lying to yourself because Dead Cells is right there. Oh man, but timestamp on that. Now we're into a heavy hitter here. I won't read the article title. I'll read Tofr's title. Black Myth Wukong Studio isn't a big fan of women or something. This is
I mean, it's not wrong.
It's not wrong. It is not wrong. This is another one from Ed Nightingale over at Eurogamer. Black Myth Wukong Studio requests influencers not include feminist propaganda or COVID-19 references in their coverage. This week's launch of Black Myth Wukong has brought further controversy to the game with the leak of a document sent to influencers requesting they do not include politics, feminist propaganda, or references to COVID-19 in their coverage. Over the weekend, a document from the marketing team at co-publisher Hero Games leaked, which was sent to influencers and streamers ahead of coverage and contains a list of do's and don'ts. While the do's simply reads, enjoy the game, the don'ts include a number of caveats. Do not insult other influencers or players, and do not use any offensive language / humor are both understandable, but other requests are far more political. The full list in full, the don'ts are: do not insult other influencers or players, do not use any offensive language or humor, do not include politics, violence, nudity, female propaganda, fetishism, and any other content that instigates negative discourse. I'm good at reading. Do not use trigger words such as quarantine or isolation or COVID-19. Do not discuss content related to China's game industry policies, opinions, news, etc. Before we go any further in the article, how you feeling on this list right now? Just as an idea that don't talk about these things while you're playing our game.
It just feels weird, and the fact that like there's this legion of gamer boys who are like, you can't censor our games, and they're all celebrating this announcement.
And
that's just weird.
They're the fucking worst, dude. They're so dumb. Now listen, I'm not saying if you're a boy and you play games, but if you're a gamer boy, you're the one I'm talking about. Just stop. Go back to your Madden. Don't come out again. But no, this is weird, right? Because I was looking at this, and I think as I was reading it, you threw it in the Discord like, this is something to note, and I'm like, yeah, we should talk about that. This is, I think, specifically for streamers who received coverage keys, anyone who got access to it. As somebody who follows Kind of Funny, I know they had covered this, and they were saying like, as reviewers, we didn't get any of these. These weren't our guidelines. They weren't say don't do this, blah 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 blah. This seems to be for your Twitch streamers or YouTube streamers who are making like, I'm loud and proud coverage, like I'm gonna do my thing. Just make sure you don't mention all of these things. So as myself, who will be streaming Black Myth Wukong tonight over on twitch.tv/CGDannyB as you're seeing this, none of these rules should apply to me. I'm hoping I don't get some kind of cease and desist email after I play the game. But it's super weird because before the launch, there were all these weird allegations and things being said. I guess they've had sexist comments from within the company. I remember seeing, I want to say it's Game Rants. I could be wrong on whose quote it was, but they said something to the effect of like the lack of diversity in the game. And I think the first thing that we thought was it's a Chinese mythology type deal, right? Like diversity wouldn't necessarily be something that you would expect when you're telling a tale from like this specific era. So like that's a weird thing to reference. But looking deeper, I think it was more about female representation in the game, which again, I guess all comes back to the lore of the story, like how many female characters are prominent in it and who gets translated over. But at the same time, after having the sexist comments, it's hard not to connect A and B to be like, they said mean things about women and then they didn't put any women in their game. So it's now, don't talk about female propaganda. Don't talk about feminist propaganda. We don't like women. We didn't put women in the game. Don't talk about us not putting women in the game. It's just that's the line of thought that has to come from that.
I do believe that before the release, the studio actually said that this game isn't for women.
Oh, great!
Because it's kind of a Souls-like, so it's not for women.
Yeah.
But the thing is, when I think about Souls-likes, I think about Miss Mika, the streamer who played 2 versions of Elden Ring at the same time.
Yeah. she's the one that does the DDR pad, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
So how can you say that these games are not for women?
I hope to God. Now I'm not particularly in her. I don't watch her streams, but I love watching the clips of her like beat whatever bosses come up. I'm waiting to be scrolling through TikTok and I see like the final boss of Black Myth Wukong being defeated by a DDR pad, and that's just gonna be one of those like fists in the air, like she did it, dog. She did it. Yeah, it's super weird, and part of me wants to chalk it up to some weird mistranslated something where maybe they were just simply discussing percentages of like a 99.9% of our player base is male. So like, not that it wasn't meant for women, but also that's me giving the benefit of the doubt and like knowing that there's shady people in this world. So there's a good chance that's not the case. But man, it's just such a weird case. I say this after playing like 4 or 5 hours of Black Myth Wukong last night. Kind of doubling back to the like Souls-like things. I think the gamer boys are out to be like, it's not a Souls-like, it's not a Souls-like, it's nothing like it. And yeah, there's some things that are very like action adventure opposed to Souls-like. But also, I think it's not a Souls-like is very misleading to people debating if they want to get into the game. As someone who does not like Souls-likes, I see things in this that I typically don't like. Things that make me not want to play Elden Ring, Dark Souls, Neo, anything like that. But if I was to go and tell anybody, if they're like, is this a Souls-like? I'm like, it is very Souls-like. Maybe legally, definition-wise, genre, it's not formally a Souls-like, but it very much is. So, like, don't tell people it isn't. Then when they pick up the game, like, you said this wasn't a Souls-like. And you're like, well, legally, it's not because but it is. It is. It is. That being said, I'm really enjoying it. It sucks to see that, like, there's this weird feminist, sexist, whatever type thing going on with it. I don't like that. That's really shitty. But I think I've come to the position, not necessarily that I can play any game regardless of what the people think, but I think there are good people that put their time and energy into making a really awesome game here. And me retorting and saying, I'm not going to touch this game because of a few bad eggs. And I want to see the hard work and the effort of the people who really put their time and effort into making this something beautiful shine. So
yeah,
before anyone's like, Dan's a bad guy.
No, I get it. It's never that black and white. Like I had really strong feelings about whatchamacallit, Hogwarts Legacy.
Yeah.
Because on the one hand, you're supporting a turf.
Yeah.
On the other hand, there's trans people in the game. So you're like, do I support the game because they have trans people? But on the other, like, it's still making her money.
Yeah.
It's just never that black and white.
Yeah, I know. We had a few back and forth type things going on with it when we were streaming it, because we had planned for so long, and that's when like the whole world kind of was like, J.K. Rowling, terrible person, don't do this, don't pick up this game. And I was like, chat, what do you want to do? If we don't want to play it, we won't play it. But at the same time, I know you guys have been excited for months. So and we said, what if we did a charity stream for a trans foundation, and we did the Trevor Project. Nice. And I was like, our goal was to raise the money of the game, balance it out. Whatever went to J.K. Rowling, which was still a percentage, she didn't make the full $70, I assume. But also that same price was going to a foundation to basically counteract the bad things that she does. It's like Gary Whitta, the guy who wrote freaking Rogue One. Anytime he goes to Chick-fil-A, he donates whatever his bill was to like any kind of gay, trans, something foundation. I'm like, you get it, Gary. You get it. And then I forget at this point, but we raised quite a bit for the foundation. I'm like, let's get it. I'm happy with this. I'm cool with that.
That is cool.
So, all right, guys, if we raise $60 for, it sounds weird to say a women's foundation. That just sounds like a weird phrase, but But yeah, world's filled with shitty people, and hopefully we don't keep being shitty to each other.
That's a great way to end this segment.
Right? Bam! Timestamp. No other thoughts. Now, about representation. Wait, Towerborn's getting a trailer. It's coming to Game Pass. It's a cool indie game that looks like a beat 'em up, but it's also very like anime and cool beans. I'll see if that gets a date. Anyway, on to the topic of the show. So in the last like couple, like maybe the month or two, we've been in the spot of like, what are we doing tomorrow for the podcast? So you came up with like a whole list of great ideas, and I kind of cherry picked a few. Like, oh, I really want to talk about this one next, or that one, the other. So we ended up coming on the topic of like people of color in indie games, and I think this can translate into a whole conversation about just people of color in games, period, whether that be characters, developers, etc. But maybe it's good to start with like where this idea came from you. I know we kind of talked a little bit beforehand, but when we thought about talking about POCs in gaming, where'd that idea spark from?
Well, the thing is, like, I have lots of representation in games because I am white. I am male presenting, and that,
Lucky.
yeah, I mean, yeah. And also in like the last couple of episodes, I got to talk a lot about mental health representation in games. And I feel like I get to talk a lot about how I am represented, but I haven't heard about how you feel represented in games. And I feel like that is something important that like I should listen to.
And I appreciate that a lot. Yeah, as someone who is black and male, I always have that 50% of representation in games where I say always, most of the time you have a male protagonist in your game. Whether you're talking AAA indie, you got your big hulking crazy dude or ripped muscly guy with insane assault rifles attached to his wrists, or you have some cool just like indie platformer where it's a cute little guy with a sword. Pip, Adventures of Pip, you know what I'm talking about. But yeah, as far as people of color, the industry as a whole is just so lacking, and it's gotten so much better than it was. And I tried to find this tweet. I thought I bookmarked it and I didn't. But a while back, someone made a tweet regarding people of color in indie games, or in video games, period. And some smug gamer boy, white as white could be profile picture, gives like a list of like 10 black people in video games. And then the retweet of that was, congratulations, you had to go back 15 years to find the first example on your list. Dumbass.
Jesus.
And I was like, that's great point though. Because like, even as I can think, right, not indie, but like Deathloop was one that was really important to me, even though it may not be my favorite game of all time. And I don't necessarily feel I feel represented as a black man for sure. And then having a black woman as both the antagonist, but also like a really important character to Colt. I think there's some great representation in that game, and I think it's awesome, and I'm glad that we have that. But anytime I see something come out, and this is a combination of everything, all media, movies, TV shows, etc., seeing things like, oh, Disney made our princess black, that's too woke, that's too crazy. I hate that. Me wanting to be seen, me wanting to find people that look like me or people I can relate to in my media, the media I like to explore, being ridiculed for being like too woke. Like, oh man, black people aren't real, women aren't real, black women aren't real. Like we can't have that in our game. So why make it a big deal? To always feel reduced down to either play the game or don't play the game. But like, why does it matter if there's a black person in the game? And I say that as someone whose favorite game, like AAA game being Uncharted, with is just a strong white male protagonist. But as much as I love Nathan Drake, if Nathan Drake was black and this was a black game, like that would mean so much more to me. I don't want them to change Uncharted. I'm not saying that at all. But seeing myself represented in what is already like one of my favorite games of all time, that would be really cool. I would love to have that opportunity. And knowing that so many gamers out there, again, with the quotes of the gamer boys, can do that when they pick up their Call of Duties, when they pick up their Wolfensteins. Presumably Doom, we see his arms. I think he's pretty white. He's probably just dirty. But like any game you could pick up, go to GameStop, look at the wall, go on the Steam front page and find it. It's just filled with white dudes. And I'm not saying we need to like take away no more white dudes ever in my video games. But I guess it comes from that, God, it sounds so weird to say, but like, it's true. This place of privilege of like, you have so many options to see yourself in whatever boots you want, whatever situation you want to be in. And in all cases of women, and just people of color, like we don't always have that same range of selection, very rarely. And I think indies do it so much better and so much more frequently. Even if it's, I don't necessarily want it to be front of mind, like in this game, I'm a black character and I'm going to highlight that as my personality. But like one of the first games I think of is called Validate, which is a dating sim that is like all people of color. Game. It's a great game. I played the demo and I never like got further into it, but like I had such a blast with it. But it is this combination of just like people of color interacting in their daily life. And yeah, they are black. They have very black personalities. But like the game to start with, hey, what's up? I'm black. Welcome to my story. It is just black characters being themselves, which is just inherently just being black, which feels really great. And then we sit and I have like a list in front of me here, and I'm sorry I'm rambling for a second, but like I had black devs making black games, where we have programs like Black Voices in Gaming, which doesn't necessarily show like games with black characters. I don't think that's necessarily what has to happen, but I think seeing the faces of black developers making the games that we love, right? So like we had Zavalier Nelson Jr. from Strange Scaffold, who's done one of the games with great black representation being El Paso Elsewhere, which is a dope-ass vampire game with a black main character. I love that. But he's also done Click Holding and I Am Your Beast, which aren't inherently, like, those aren't black games. I don't think. I haven't played either, so I don't know. For all I know, the dude in the chair is just a black dude with a sock on his face. We'll find out when we play it. But just seeing him front of mind, right, when he's out there talking about his games, like, he's put out, I think, like 5 or 6 games in the last, like, year or two. Like, always putting in the fucking work.
Absolutely.
But it's great to see devs like front of mind showing that they're making games for people like me, people like other people of color. Neil Jones being another one. Aerial Knights doing both those games. Aerial Knights Never Yield and Never Stop Yielding. I always forget the title of the second one. But even with the second one, we have a cast now of me knowing, because Blessing Adegoye Jr. from Kind of Funny is one of the voice casts in that. So now I'm seeing black voice actors in my black games by black people, which is great. I want more people to play my black games with black people. Like, please make more of those. I also had Gabriella, less black, but just people of color, period. He's Colombian, but he made Hiro Kato earlier this month, late last month, which I got a key for when I started talking about the game, but seeing him show up and have that representation of great. It's not just white dudes doing things for other white people. Like, it was very cool to see more people recognizing the industry, and I just want to continue to see that happen.
Yeah. I can imagine. Like, I feel like the typical gamer boys only accept black people when they're like very stereotypical.
Correct. Yeah.
For example, like there's a really big example with Grand Theft Auto 5.
Yep.
And like when you play a black person in that game, apparently it's fine.
Yeah.
So when you play a black person in a game that celebrates black culture, it's not fine.
Yeah.
And I like, it feels like it's a power struggle.
Yeah, I think it's so hard, because I know we talk indies here, and we could probably find a whole list of black indie games. I don't know why I'm blanking so much right now.
Tales of Kanzera.
You know, a great one. As of today recording, Dustborn comes out. We have Pax. She's amazing. Yes. My video game crush this month. God, she's so fine. But anyway, no, it is the you bringing up being the stereotypical character, right? And you mentioned Franklin from Grand Theft Auto 5. I think of characters like Coltrane from the Gears of War series. Indies are less problematic with it, I guess. I feel like less people bitch and moan. Maybe it's just because of the smaller scale people finding it. But another big one from the last couple months is being Yasuki from Assassin's Creed Shadows, coming out a couple months. Again, not indie, but this is the examples we have. But just anybody, the amount of people I've seen is being like, oh my God, there's a black guy in my Japanese game. Well, this is, and then people having no historical reference of like where exactly this is coming from. But but they just want a reason to bitch about having a black person on their screen, right? And whether that's inherently racist or they're just some kind of like, actually, the accuracy of my Assassin's Creed game is very important to me. If it's not, and then meanwhile you have fucking magical apples and people jumping off of 70,000 foot skyscrapers and surviving and being like, you know what? I kind of need realism in my games. Yeah, I think it's ridiculous. But even if like these characters aren't stereotypical black, right? I love Coltrane. I love Franklin. They very much are like, I feel like a white man sat there and wrote a black character for both of them. That could be totally wrong, could be off base. But if I look at that, that's my first assumption. Please prove me wrong. Someone tell me who created Coltrane, because if that was a black man, that's even cooler. But yeah, I definitely think for a long time, black characters have kind of come as like the sidekicks, right? We make this energy to be the funny comedic relief, or like sometimes the punching bag, or just exist there. And again, I don't necessarily feel like I need black characters to exist as what white characters are now. I don't want you to just put them in that role and make it, but I kind of do though. I just want to see reflected from myself, right? We talked about this a little bit more, and I was probably more articulated about it when we talked about Tales of Kanzera a few months back. But like, again, I don't see people like me often as I sit here. I'm not even gonna go that path. Never mind. We're gonna change that. I was gonna make a reference to something else, but I'm not giving the internet fuel. But I think people will take opportunities to find where they can be seen in their games without knowing that they're doing it. I think if we could just flip a switch right now and change every single character in a video game to, like, we'll say the opposite race, right? Make every white person black, black person white, but change nothing about the people playing them. I think you could really realize what has happened in the reverse. How many white people are like, oh, there's no white people in games. Like every game, like every character is black. Not to make that some kind of big like stigma of like, you need to fix like what's been happening by just making everyone black, but realizing like what we've missed out on while you've had so many opportunities to see yourself represented in, again, all media. We're talking specific games here, but movies, TV. I can't speak to books. I don't read, but there's probably more black people in books. I feel like books are smart enough to put more black people in. I don't know. But yeah, my train of thought's like a fucking red yarn on a marker board, right? Or marker board, freaking cork board right now, being like, what did I just say?
You're that meme. You're like,
yeah. Because I was here, I was talking about representation, then I talked about let's make everything black and not white. And I'm like, where was I? What did I even say? This is a rambly episode, but
I get like it. Everything still feels very catered to white tastes. I wrote a couple of notes down here because I feel like there's a big influx of Asian representation in games lately, with the likes of Venba, Thirsty Suitors, or Until Then, coming from actual Asian developers,
which is very cool.
Celebrating their lifestyles. Or, for example, I have to mention it, 1,000 Times Resist, which really like describes the experience of being an Asian immigrant in the US, which is something that doesn't get represented enough as well.
Yeah.
And I love seeing that, but because before I feel like games were based on Asian culture, but like that would be Kung Fu. Or something like that. I'm thinking of games like Sifu and stuff like that.
Right.
It feels like if Quentin Tarantino were to make an Asian movie.
Yeah.
Like he clearly loves certain aspects of the culture, but he has no idea of what it means to live in that culture.
Yeah, that's just gonna double down.
Yeah, and I feel like we're in indie games, at least, we're seeing the switch towards actual developers of color developing games with characters of color.
Yeah.
And I hope that it can continue, because at the same time, we mentioned Tales of Kanzera. I do believe that studio has shut down now because the game wasn't successful enough.
I know they had a big round of layoffs, and I forget if they closed. Definitely layoffs. Asterisks on the studio closure. I can look that up quick. Insurgent Studios closure.
I think they had to close down. I'm not sure.
Yeah, you're right. Studios now closed. but it's being restructured.
Okay.
No, that's Sandstorm? What? That's not at all what I asked. What is this? I sit here and read. I'm like, no, this isn't. Oh, that's because it's Insurgency. No, I would insert. No, Insurgent Studios, not in. No, I don't know. I'm seeing layoffs and job cuts. I don't see studio closure. Okay. So I think we're so good because I feel like there's a part where I'm just like, it easily could have happened. I'm like, maybe it got brushed under because I didn't realize last month. Oh, actually, no, it's August. In June, Venture the Vile Studio cut to bits. I guess they had closed after launch because games didn't succeed very well. And I knew nothing about it. I was still seeing them post on TikTok. I don't know if it's had a bunch of stuff scheduled and it's just going out still. But the studio closed after launch of the game, which like really sucked. I hated to see that because I love that game. I got a press package from them. I got my key and everything. Like I really enjoyed the game. It had some critiques, but all in all, like really fun. And then just to find out like a month after the fact, I'm like, oh, you closed? I had no clue. So there's so many just closures and layoffs in these past couple of years that like I'm sure so many have gone on under the radar. I have no clue.
There was something else that I wanted to ask you when it comes to representation in games. How do you feel like storytelling in games has evolved when it comes to racism? For example, I'm thinking of fantasy games where like tieflings are usually the what you call it, the victims of racism.
Yeah.
I feel like at times it's a bit tone deaf. But I was wondering what your thoughts are on that.
I think every case is so different. You bringing up tieflings, I immediately think of Baldur's Gate, and I think there's an easy way of being like, we can show racism in our game without including real people. Because it's really easy to be like, tieflings don't exist. We can be racist to them, right? Which, weird way to phrase it, but I guess I kind of see we're creating someone as like the villain, right? The villain race or the villain bad guys. Because you need your bad guy, you need your antagonist, but I don't necessarily think it always has to be a race thing. It has to be dedicated to like this type of people. I think mostly in Baldur's Gate it's the Get Yankee. But even that, like, I think some handle it really well, and I'm sitting here trying to find an example, right, of like where racism falls in or in the other. I was going to use fucking Detroit Become Human, but I don't think that's a very good case at all. I think that was a really weird one. Even though I love the song from the trailer, I think their initial trailer where it is the one, just the big black character, I want to say his name is Sam, so I might have to correct me, but he's just staring at the camera, I believe singing like a slave hymn, like as the rest of the robots come in, which like, there might be something there in terms of like a deep narrative beat, but on the surface, like that's a very like, oh, that's the direction we want. We said a big black guy singing a big slave song to talk about robots. Okay. I don't know.
Mostly white robots.
Mostly white robots. I think it's tough, right? Because when you talk about just racism or discrimination, period, like that's not a happy topic. Like it's not supposed to be. I think how people choose to handle it and showcasing like how do we come back from that, or like what's the resolution for fixing this. I think back to my childhood, right, where like there is this one clip from an episode of That's So Raven where she applies to work at like a store and she applies and never gets in. Sorry, we're not hiring, blah 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 blah. And then she's like, you go apply. She gets a job on the spot, and like the hidden camera catches the manager going like, I don't hire black people. And like as a kid, I'm like, oh my God, she said that. And it's kind of cringy now, but also like the point getting across, like that was a kid show way of showcasing. There's a Squid Games game on the screen. I don't know if I'm behind or caught up, but like, that's weird. I guess like a battle royale. Cool. Back to racism. I think that was like a very like kid-friendly way of showcasing like what racism is and why it makes you like a bad person to discriminate against people for the color of their skin. Listen, if someone's an asshole, you can hate on them all you want. They're a shitty person, go for it. But me being born with more melanin in my skin than you, if that's what makes you feel high and mighty about yourself and why you should hate me, that's just a checklist of things you got to figure out for yourself and why you're like that. Because that's absurd. That's insane. I'm sitting here like also vamping to be like, what's a great example where they showed like racism and discrimination? And maybe none come in front of mind, but I think people are trying. I think it's one of those sometimes white savior things where I think they want to come in and show this is how we should feel about these things. These should be bad. But I think not having those black voices to kind of direct, like, this is how we feel about it. And if that directs it, even if it's a white director with the full support of like a black team, awesome. Make that feel. I think it was one of the first things that me and a bunch of my mutuals on Twitter were saying when they announced the team making the new Black Panther game. I believe it's under EA, if I'm correct about the ownership of that one. And EA to me screams white. Screams pretty white. So if this new studio, I'm sorry, blanking on the name, I'd have to look it up. If this new studio is all white people making a Wakandan heavy game, I don't know if the culture is going to hit. But if this is a team of people that look like me making something that feels right, as someone who is very like Americanized black, I'm half white, half black. Culturally, Africa, anything of a sort is not like it's in my blood, but not in my like my daily life. Like I can't necessarily, I couldn't sit down and be like, you should make a game like this with dashikis and cool fabrics and stuff. But like, I can feel that vibe when it feels authentic, you know? So I'm hoping that's what we get from that. And I think that's what we get in a lot of indie games, because we don't get a lot of the behind the scenes looks at like, here's the team making the game. They just make the game and put it out. Where they have dev diaries and stuff like that, you know, that's to each team. But I think if we could see that from both AAA and indie, I think it really sets forward like what we should expect from these games. And maybe some white people will be like, you know what? This is not a project for my hands. This is a project for somebody else. And make me feel good about seeing black people make my games.
Yeah, it's just like we mentioned the gamer boys and them talking about things being woke bullshit.
Yeah.
And whenever a topic like this arises, it immediately that word is there, woke.
Yeah.
Everything is woke. I'm like, stop it.
Yeah.
Stop
please.
it and let people live.
Yeah.
Like even if they don't look like you, even if they don't like the same things that you like, let people live, please.
Yeah.
And stop making their actual lives a political thing.
Yeah. The fact that my existence is woke is absurd sometimes. Again, I always think about the Twitter engagements.
Let me tell you something. Here in Belgium, we on the December 6th, we celebrate Saint Nicholas. So not like Father Christmas, but Saint Nicholas.
Sure.
And he has helpers who help him bring presents to children who have been good. And these helpers are like, they're black from the soot and chimneys.
Okay.
But when people portray them here, they have blackface. Yeah. And they're called Black Pete.
Okay.
Yeah. And for years now, there has been this discussion that we can't change that because it's tradition. And I'm like, we can change that. You can make them just a little black because of the soot, like how it would actually look. Because now they don't only have blackface, they have like big red lips to like really go for that.
Oh boy.
Yeah. And that's
a thing.
Yeah. And whenever that gets mentioned, it's every year it's the same drama. And people just go, "Oh, that's woke. You don't have to be so woke." Like black people don't mind. At the same time, there's black people who are like, "We do mind.
We do.
Shut the fuck up."
Yeah.
But yeah, it's tradition.
Yeah, man, that's a lot. That's all unpack.
Yeah, I'm sorry about
No. It's good. I think that is always such a weird thing, right? I get the cultural significance. We've done this for decades, years, centuries, et cetera. Like those things are hard to change. I don't think that's an excuse. I think there is culture changes on the daily. Things change. I think similar but not quite the same. I remember back in college is kind of when I first started to hear like people being gender fluid or non-binary, or like I didn't understand what that meant. Hello, that didn't make sense to me. But I had a friend who was very like, she was very much informed. So I went to her and asked like, hey, I don't quite understand this. And I tried Googling and like, it was very unclear at the moment. It was just like, I didn't have the words or the knowledge to understand what those other words meant. So I was like, can you explain to me like what non-binary, like how does this function? What does that mean in terms of gender, sex, etc.? And she basically just hit me with just like, if you don't know, you're the problem, and then like walked away. And like that set up a stigma with me, right? Where I was just like, it sucks because it sounds like that same kind of thing, like a white person that puts on like all black people are the same. But like my first instinct, I'm like, if I ask anybody about what gender fluidity is, like I'm going to be shunned because I don't know. So for a while, like it just worked out where conveniently I wasn't around anybody who was identified as like non-binary or anything. It was just like straight dudes, straight girls, gay guy. Like this is it. Gay, straight, guy, girl. Those were like, that was the flow chart. And then luckily TikTok's probably a little too late. I got a better understanding earlier than that, but like TikTok's very open about like, here's how these things work. But I'll even have this memory of, I bring up Kind of Funny a lot. We have a Facebook page where like anything in media happens, we got to talk about it in post. But they had made a post about Elliot Page and the transition there and what was going on. And this where I was like, maybe I can find, which is a terrible way to think about it, or a shitty way to think about it. I was like, maybe I can find more positive reactions on the internet. Maybe that'll make more sense. So I'd asked them, like, what does this mean grand scale, right? Dead naming wasn't a concept I was familiar with. So I was asking, like, what does this do? And the person who answered my question, non-binary, but very vicious with their responses, of just like, you don't get it, don't do that, da 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 da. And I believe I used the dead name in a question. I think the way I phrased it, I was asking about Juno, right? Where I'm like, those are tapes, those are DVDs that are burnt and released. Like you can't go and change that. Like if I had a kid now and I showed them Juno, they're going to see the dead name. So like, is that my responsibility to be like, hey, they're no longer this, they're Elliot? Like I was asking all these questions of what's that look like, right? And this is totally off the base from POC. So, but I think the way they kind of threw it in my face of this, like, you're a bad person because you don't get it, that just furthered this thing of like, it's hard to speak out and learn because people will attack you for not understanding, even when you want to learn. Now, of course, I have people like you. I have people like my friend Matt Storm over at Fun and Games Podcast. We had a conversation at PAX, very short, but I had used the wrong pronouns when referring to them. And they quickly corrected me, and I was like, yo, my bad. I'm going to screw that up so many times. Just like smack me, slap me, remind me. And they were just like, don't sweat it. I can tell you didn't do it with any ill intent. It natural. That's the way the brains have been functioning for 20 plus years. It's going to happen. And that was like a very like refreshing, I'm like, oh, thank God. Like that was maybe the first interaction that I had that wasn't very like targeting. Right. But even though like I had known for a while, like I understand now, I still just had that fear in the pit of my stomach of here's what is going to happen when I misgender somebody or by accident. And it'll always come back. And I've had so many people now, like I've told this story now of that original friend, like you're the problem because you don't get it. But they're like, yo, she fucking sucks. She said that? I was like, yeah. She's like, that was the worst response to give. She just set up a stigma for all of us. And I hope that doesn't affect them. Like, no, not now. It did then. But circling back around to get back to where we were, I think this is the thing that happens a lot with white people trying to tell black stories or create black universes. I think they're told like, hey, you've created something that's not us. That's not genuine us. It's this facade, this image, this frontline painting of what us is. And when it comes off accusatory, especially on the internet where it's like yelling and attacking people for getting things wrong, I think that makes them less likely to want to improve and make that better and seek out who can actually give them the real perspective that they need, as opposed to like, I'll just go back to what I know, you know? So if a case of where this Black Panther game comes out and it's like, this is not black, this is not inherently us. And if they would make a sequel because they get negative feedback in a proper way, as opposed to be like, you guys fucking suck, blah, 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 blah. Hire a black person. Like, fine, we'll just make a white game next, you know? Like, I think it's just the way we choose to interact with each other and talk is so important, because so many people shut down when they're yelled at or attacked. And I think I'm very much like that. If I'm attacked, I explained like I'll try and back away and like I won't be involved with this space at all. It just keeps me safe and it keeps me out of trouble from doing the wrong thing, which sucks because I don't want to ever be that. But I am fragile. I am a fragile man. But yeah, to ramble some more, I just think we can all learn how to fix, as the world changes, how to fix things, especially going back to how people will, let's paint our faces black and realize, you know what, that is really not cool. If we even talk about, Jim Crow and everything else and what that really means, it's not something we should be doing in 2024. Definitely something not to do. Is like, I think we should recognize that. And I don't have the solution for that of what you do to continue doing the soot thing. If it was more of like I immediately think of like Newsies, right? Where they're dirty, but they're white people with like splashes of dust on their face. They're not, they're not, oh man, I've been in a chimney all day, better paint my whole face black with like shoe polish or whatever. Like that's not what you need. I think that could really be resolved in another way, but who am I to change Belgium?
No, it needs changing though. Like there's actual cities here who are like, well, our black Pete's are actually black.
Yeah.
Not these suit people. And that they're like proud of it. And I'm like, wait, how are we this racist in 2024?
Yeah.
The same thing, like we mentioned the Black Panther game. After the success of the Black Panther movies, EA would be really stupid to let this game be made by white people.
Don't fuck it up, EA. Please don't.
Learn from indie games. Indie games.
Please. Play more indie games. Make more indie games.
Yes.
Make these
also, I noticed that you're highlighting it in the doc.
Yeah, I was gonna be like...
There's more than one black hairstyle, people.
Listen, I've said it before. I get it. For a long time, the afro was it. That was the default hairstyle. And did I like it? I did. That being said, there's some games who nail it. I forget if Elden Ring is one of them. I didn't play enough. But there are so many games now that the default hairstyle is the dreads, we'll call it. The hair flipped over with the orange tips. We're talking Phoenix. We're talking Miles Morales. We're talking a lot of the black skins in Fortnite. We're talking Eddie from the new Street Fighter. Like that default hairstyle. Listen, we get it. It's cool. But not every black person has that haircut. Please, if you're going to put black haircuts in the game, but like 10, 15. I know you have so many different Karen cuts that you could do. Just lengthen and shorten it. There's so many different styles. Just literally, wherever you're at, go to a local barber, a black barber. They will have a picture up on the wall. That is, what do you want your haircut? And that's like 30 pictures. Just take a picture of that, go back to the studio, and use that as reference. That's your answer. Please, more black haircuts. Yeah,
I think wasn't it Killmonger that really
Killmonger?
Made the haircut popular?
Yeah, he did. He's cool though. He's great. It looks great on you, Michael B. Jordan. I don't want everyone to look like Killmonger. What a time. Any other thoughts on being black?
I obviously, yes.
Of course. Oh man. Yeah,
no, I'm glad that we had that we had this conversation because I get to learn more about a life that I can't imagine.
Yeah, I think in a future where I have the chance to maybe better prepare myself, I know I'm gonna like listen back like, man, I was all over the fucking place with things. I'm just another thing where I'm like not diagnosed with ADHD, but I'm pretty sure, I'm pretty confident in this late life diagnosis of myself. But yeah, I think at another time where like I could flush this out and even have so many new black creator friends. I'm thinking like Adam Gumby. I'm thinking my buddy Baron. I think there's so many people that could sit in a similar space and have like a more intelligible conversation altogether. I think it'd be a great one to circle back to in the future with some more voices in addition to my own. Would be a cool thing to do. Bet.
Absolutely.
But enough talk about being black. First, how about I tell you to go buy some CGDannyB merch? This episode of Playlog is brought to you by my freaking merch. So I'm really bad at reminding you guys about this, but I've got merch. Always in a mood where you don't feel like giving it your all? Be sure to grab the Just Quit apron. Or perhaps you're an Animal Crossing fan and you've seen my mad skills as villager. Welcome. Where you going? Oh, that's right! I'm the mayor! I'm the mayor! Then you can pick up the I'm the Mayor hoodie. Or maybe you just discovered the channel through this episode of Playlog right here, and you really like indie games just like us. Then feel free to snag the Playlog podcast t-shirt. I'm really bad at taking the time to come up with new merch ideas because I don't sell a lot of merch, but I also don't plug it very much, so it's this vicious cycle at the end of the day. So if you want to help support the channel, be sure to head over to shop.spreadshirt.com/CGDannyB and pick up your merch today. And if you want to take a nice selfie and tag me in it on Instagram or Twitter or whatever other social media sites are out there, I'll repost it because you're a badass and you deserve it. So once again, be sure to check out shop.spreadshirt.com/CGDannyB or check out the link in the description and get your Nomi flavored merch today. Anyway, Tofr, you want to talk about things we've been playing?
Sure.
Here, I talked a lot.
We can do that.
You go first. What'd you play?
Well, I like, it's not indie, but I want to mention I played some Fortnite because of the new season.
Ooh.
And also I heard this rumor and I had to test it for myself.
Okay.
So I went to like the creator code and I entered CGDannyB.
Okay.
And like instant happiness. Instant happiness. Depression over. So I implore everyone listening, if you play Fortnite or if you want to buy something on the Epic Store, just use that creator code. You're going to be so happy.
You'll be so happy. Once you play the game you bought or use that new Fortnite skin, it's a good call.
Exactly.
We got the double plug. We're talking about merch. Then we do the short plug. Now we're nailing it. This is marketing 101, baby. Let's go. I don't know what
but if you're talking
Flotopia, what is this on fucking? I mean, you might be ahead. I rewound for the Marvel Rivals thing, so I might be behind. But it's this cute little like cozy Animal Crossing looking thing. But this is adorable. Oh my god, it's so cute. Okay. Anyway,
I love that like it's this late in the presentation. Like we just had Blizzard presenting their new stuff, then you have this cozy game. Gonna piss off so many people.
This is good though. Okay, I know what we're talking about. We played, but like I think we constantly bitch at Jeff Keighley about like not having any representation. And I'm saying this in a spot where like there was a lot of indies in the pre-show that most people probably missed. And oh my god, is that an axolotl bus? That shit's cute. Guys, look up Floatopia. This looks really cute. I think it might be the studio, one or the other. I think right now I'm seeing a lot of indies pop up as someone doing a podcast as this thing is showing on the side. I could be totally wrong here and be like, oh, I counted wrong. But I'm hoping this is the improvement. We're getting more indies in the main showcase, which would be stellar.
Absolutely.
But yeah, you were Floatopia coming 2025. Cool. PlayStation, Xbox, Switch. What you been playing?
First of all, I've been playing Gourdlets.
Okay.
I got a key for that from the developer, which is really cool. And it is a blast.
Okay, I want to hear more about it.
It's this very colorful sandbox city builder kind of game made by Auntie Games. And it basically combines like the best part of like low stakes city builders and games like The Sims, your life simulator games, but like without the pressure of worrying about things like resources or survival.
Yeah.
The Gourdlets, as you can see if you're watching on YouTube, are these cute vegetable little dudes. Like the game actually calls them just silly little dudes.
Silly little dudes.
And they're mostly happy that someone else is building all these things for them to interact with.
Yeah.
So they don't have to do it themselves because they're very sleepy.
Oh.
Yeah. Capitalism has been explained to them, but does not interest them one single bit.
Fair enough. I get that.
Yeah. Yeah. The only real goal in the game, except for building cute villages and decorating cute homes, is to gain more items via the parcel train. And you can only call that train by having enough adult Gourdlets on your island.
Oh.
The Gourdlets arrive by train as well, by the way.
Okay.
And it's adorable. But like everything they do is adorable. They can watch TV. They can they be on the swing. It's such a delightful time, this game.
Yeah. I'm
the
super
partial
interested
train.
in hearing how it's evolved, right? Not to cut you off. I had played the demo a while back, right? In browser, right? Before this was even like a Steam page, anything. And I think I did a short TikTok review. I know I did a TikTok review where I kind of said, I enjoy it. This is really cute. It was so early enough, like there wasn't like a delete button. If I placed something and then built, I had to like undo like 50 times and then undo that and then keep going. I felt the objective. The thing about it being cozy and not having an objective is awesome. I like that that's there. For someone like me, it felt like I didn't have anything to necessarily drive towards other than put more stuff on the floor. How does that sort of feel now? I know you said now there's parcels and stuff, and I guess that's an objective in some degree, but do you feel like you've hit a point where like I've kind of done all I can do? Is there enough content to fix that feeling? Is there enough variety in all the things that you can watch cute little vegetable dudes just kind of exist that you're still enjoying your time?
Yeah, there's a lot that you can do. It's limited because it's still an indie, and
Sure.
it's like I think it's $5. So
Okay.
you can't expect like the same amount of options that a game like The Sims will offer you, but there's still plenty to do. Like you have the outside space that you can decorate with houses and trees and stuff like that. But the interior of the houses can be decorated as well.
Oh, okay.
Which just adds a whole new level to the game.
That's really cool.
Yeah, it has evolved from like that original game that you played in your browser. There are 2 delete buttons now.
Let's go. I can delete twice.
There's one for like if you want to delete the floors, and one if you want to delete the items that you put on the floors.
Very cool.
Like gameplay feels really intuitive. I really like that. It's really fluent. Once you get going with it, it doesn't take you a long time to like figure everything out. I did notice one bug in the game.
Okay.
And it's pretty silly, but I got a tutorial for decorating the interior of houses. In the second house, I decorated it for some reason. Yeah, and like when I was playing it last night, and I was streaming it to my friend Daphne, and she bought the game because it looked so good.
Okay.
And she had the same bug. So apparently it's
gotcha.
It's not a bug, it's a feature.
Fair enough. Just if it happens more than one of you, feature.
Yeah. But like this at the moment it's only $4.
Yeah.
And it's gonna be $5 when it's full price. And even at $5, this is one of the easiest sells of the year.
Yeah. And I don't know how long this is in the design. I'm only seeing it now in this trailer, but they have the like Rusty's retirement thing where you can kind of make it just a portion of your screen. Which is really cool. I dig that. I like that Rusty's inspired more people to do this, or maybe Gourdlets already had it going on. I've also received a key for this. I haven't touched it yet. It's in Steam. I'm done. Let me tell you, Tofr, the whiteboard's still over there. I added like 2 more this week, man. It's whiteboard, stop. But yeah, I mean, I'm excited to like dabble in this one a little bit. It's one of those things where I always wanted to like duet that old TikTok, be like, hey, I've played Gourdlets now after release, and it's like so much better than this, or like here's how I feel about it now. But yeah, it's such a cute one. Like there's no taking that away. It's really adorable.
Yeah, and the thing is, you could sink a lot of time into it, or you can just play it casually. Yeah. Like, oh, I have 10 minutes now until I have to do this thing, so I play it for 10 minutes and then I leave it idle. Yeah. While I do something else.
Let's start Gordon.
It's yeah. Play it, please.
Just some support. I believe, if I recall the story, Solo Dev, she used to work as like a scientist at NASA. Maybe the job title isn't correct, but definitely worked at NASA. Really? And then she was just like, I want to go make a game. So went and made Gourdlets, which is really cool to me. But
it's cool.
So I didn't know that. Enough you need to buy it to fulfill a NASA salary, please. So go do that.
Yeah.
That's really cool. Oh man. Let me see.
What have you been playing?
I'll tell you what I've been playing. I've been playing a lot of Black Myth Wukong. Before I talk about Black Myth Wukong, I want to talk about Constance. Nice. So I had played this demo a while back. Please don't start yelling. It's good. It's muted. I played the first demo for this a while back during I want to say a Steam Next Fest, but that's probably a safe bet, a Steam Next Fest. But I remember describing it as colorful Hollow Knight. It is very Hollow Knight. It's a Metroidvania. It's got a very similar flow to combat. I don't know why I'm standing here at this sign for so long. Please get moving, Danny. God damn, what did I capture? There we go. I don't entirely know the narrative yet, but the loading screen it's got like this hinge of like depression to it. It is this main character, Constance. I believe Constance is her name. Sitting at her computer desk, lights off. She's got kind of like a really sad face going on, which is like the light of her monitor filling the room type deal. And then the demo kind of drops you in like mid game. But you have this like paint ability too, where you kind of slide and dash through things. You can slip through little holes in the wall. You can slip underneath different like barbed things. You can dash through enemies. And the way it works is if you're dashing, once you deplete your like paint bar, you get corrupted. So you have like no paint to kind of fill your heart. This is how I'm interpreting it, of course. But like the color in your life is drained. So you kind of hit this position of like taking damage or not feeling full of life while you're doing it. So something to maintain, like don't dash too much. You got to fill your bar a little bit more so you're not just wasting all of your energy. But yeah, in the comparisons to Hollow Knight, like it feels very similar. It's got a similar like float to it. But yeah, it's one where if anyone's just like, I really like Hollow Knight, what should I play next? Like Constance is the first one I think of. This is actually the Gamescom demo. I literally played it maybe like an hour or so before we started recording here. They emailed me this morning like, hey Danny, we're at Gamescom. If you're at home, check out the demo. I'm like, bet, sweet. I'm not at Gamescom, but I will totally play Constance. All the characters are really like simple constructs, I guess, of random stuff. Like if you see in the video, there's like this magnifying glass in a jar of sorts, which is kind of cute. There's other ones with like painting equipment where like I think it's like a hourglass or like a clock with like a painting like knife, and he kind of stabs you because you're getting near his painting and stuff like that. It's just a fun exploration game. There's not a whole lot more to say at the moment. Both the demos are really fun. I'm not sure what the status of the demo is right now on Steam, if the first one's there, if the Gamescom want to go up, or what that looks like. But it's, you collect stuff, you get more health. After you get 3 pieces, you get more stamina or whatever you call it once you get 3 pieces type deal. The demo kind of sets you up to, there's an elevator, we have to move it up and down, but you have to set up 3 separate tubes to make it work. The demo doesn't have full access to all the areas. So you basically just do the first one, you beat a boss, and then progress, and then they'll give you like a timer of like, hey, you beat this demo. I think mine was like 42 minutes or something like that. You see her on there's a character, there's a camera. He gives you like a photo mode where you can take like a screenshot of what's going on in the scene. So it's really fun. But
nice.
Yeah, I really did Constance. It's one I'm really looking forward to, having a full view. I did get challenged a lot with some of the platforming. I ended up going for like a collectible. You can see here, I'm fucked up by these little electrical blocks. I'm supposed to stab them, but I'm dumb and I didn't. So I'm like, I'll just dash under. But yeah, it's going to be, I can see the challenge in it. I'm hoping it's not built on being challenging, because I think it's going to be a really cozy Metroidvania, and I just went to a challenging section. But yeah, wishlist Constance. It's cool.
Does it feel different enough from Hollow Knight? Or do you, like, is it...
I think tonally it does. I think if we're talking about the tone of it, it has though there is still like a, well, again, I'm assuming depression. I don't have like the notes in front of me of what exactly is going on, but it gives depression. It gives a lot of that vibe while still remaining colorful. I think in terms of gameplay, very, very similar to Hollow Knight. I think it's got a little bit different of like the attacking down, like you're not really, spiking down like you would in Hollow Knight, or you don't have the same assortment of like gems and stuff to equip to have different abilities or different perks, at least not in the current state. Maybe that'll be added. I think it is one that like very much mirrors what Hollow Knight is by doing its own thing and changing the tone and the atmosphere. So yeah, I think it's very much a substitute when you're like, I've beaten Hollow Knight. Silksong doesn't seem to ever be coming out. Whatever should I do? I'm like, Constance.
Yeah.
Constance.
Okay.
Yeah. Similar enough, but it's got its own flavor for sure. I think that's the best way to put it.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah. But, 42 minutes kind of what I hear is the world record. So you guys could try and beat me that, but. Oh, but you've also been playing another game that we both backed on Kickstarter, and I love to hear how that's going so far.
Mika and the Witch's Mountain is releasing, I think, today when this episode drops.
Yeah, it's the 22nd.
No, it will have. It's the 21st, I think. So
the 21st.
Yesterday. Yeah, but the people who backed it have already gotten their key, and I got some time into it. I haven't finished it yet, but as we have mentioned before, this is basically Kiki's Delivery Service, the game, and I have to be honest, the game is just as amazing as a Ghibli movie would be.
Okay,
yeah,
my heart stopped.
It has this like the right vibe, the right sense of humor, the right sense of adventure. Gameplay feels excellent. Like the flying around on your broom is so much fun. It felt as fun as the web slinging in the Spider-Man games.
Ooh, that's a big statement.
Yeah. Even though you have to like build it up. Like you start with a broken broom. So that doesn't allow you to do much, but then you get better brooms and then you get to fly higher and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But it feels really good. The visuals are a delight, as people can see if they're watching on YouTube. It really reminded me of like the Nintendo 64 era platformers.
Okay.
But then upgraded to like modern visuals.
Yeah.
The writing is fun. There seems to be a pretty dark undertone that I'm still figuring out. Yeah.
Okay.
But I'm
this
curious
outfit
to see more
is
of
so
it.
cute. This like postman outfit. I love that. That's,
That's the delivery outfit.
I'm putting
That's
that
the
on. I'm
delivery
not
outfit.
changing it. That's really cute.
Yeah.
I mentioned, so I had messaged you over the weekend because they put out the Kickstarter like, hey, all the codes have been sent. I'm like, I didn't get mine. So I commented on their thing. I'm like, hey, I don't think I received mine. And I messaged you. I'm like, hey, did you get yours? You're like, yeah, I got mine already. I'm like, what the shit? Why didn't? So I went to a graduation party this weekend, came back, checked my DMs, and they were like, oh yeah, you ordered a PlayStation copy. I'm like, I did? Oh.
You want
my
that
bad.
platinum?
Yeah, I guess I do.
platinum.
That must have been what I did, because I was just like, I thought I got Steam. Oh, well. I'm like, my bad. I apologize. I thought I did something else. And then I got a key through Lurk It for the Switch. So I have it, have not touched it yet. Again, the marker board. But it looks great. I remember playing the demo. I think our buddies over at 61 Indie, they put out their review today. And I think they were very high on it. Just said there's a lack of content. I know you said you haven't finished it yet, but do you feel like that's on
I'm on day 3.
Okay.
And I feel like I'm getting close to the end.
Okay. Is that like
I'm
a
not
narrative
sure.
thing? You're like, the narrative's
Yeah.
getting there. You're like, I think I'm at the big bad or whatever, the final climax type deal. Okay.
It kind of feels like that. I'm hoping that's not the case.
Yeah.
Because I want to keep playing this.
Yeah.
But I mean, the island isn't that big.
Yeah, I remember playing the demo and it was pretty small, but I kind of chalked it up to demo and areas I haven't unlocked yet, but
it's the same size.
okay.
Yeah. But it's still worth it. Like I wrote down, the game delivers exactly what you'd hope from it.
I get the pun. That's a TikTok. Clip it, baby. Yeah. Yeah. I love the vibe. It seems like a great weekend. Just knock it out if it's an easy platinum. Fingers crossed.
Exactly. It's a good time. I think it's pretty much all ages as well.
Hell yeah.
Can enjoy it. Pick this one up. It's going to be worth it.
Give it a shot. It's out now on. It drops everything day one. Well, Switch and Steam day one, and then coming to Xbox, PlayStation someday. I think.
Yeah.
Is that October?
Yeah.
Or maybe that's the physicals.
No
I forget the Kickstarter situation. I will say there was one guy, not necessarily to the game, but on the Kickstarter. There was this one dude who really pissed me off. I don't have his name. I'm not going to call him out. But if you're on the Kickstarter, go find his comment and tell him he's an asshole. Essentially, what he did is he backed the physical edition, right? And he got pissed because on launch day, he's like, oh, I don't get a key. Well, that's dumb. I had to wait so long and then the delay and I still didn't get my game. That's really frustrating. You guys really should have explained that better. And I'm like, you thought you were getting 2 games for the price of 1? No. They have the option on Kickstarter, most games, when you back it, if there's a physical one, you have the option to add additional keys. So if you want them, you got to buy them. So homie's out here like, I didn't, my physical one's not out yet, so I can't even play the game yet. I'm like, cry about it. Like, I'm sorry, you misread that. That sucks. You don't get to play the game unless you go buy it again. But also, was it a buy two, get one? No. Shut up. I guess buy one, get one, but the guy just pissed me off. I got mad at him. I think I was on Discord with a friend. I'm like, hey, this guy's a dick.
Yeah. But people seem to expect that nowadays. When you you buy the physical game, that you get another code.
Yeah.
I'm like, why?
I don't know why you would think that. Like maybe one particular game did, and everyone thinks, but like we have like smart delivery and stuff with Xbox, where like you have the old version, get the new version. Like I guess that makes sense, but it's not like you just bought a Switch copy and get an Xbox copy or whatever. Like you have the game, it's just not out yet. Like I don't know
exactly.
Yeah, it's just a frustrating thing as I watch this goobus. My scene won't change. I can't go back to the big one, Tofr. We're stuck. No, we're stuck in this one.
No, but we're so tiny.
Yeah. Click. Okay, I can do it in OBS. Okay.
It works.
That's crazy. Anyway, Mika. It makes me want to go back. I haven't watched the fucking Ghibli movies in a minute, but I kind of want to go back and watch Kiki's Delivery Service now.
Oh, same.
Anyway, sorry.
I know you've been dying to talk about this one.
Tofr. I don't like Souls-likes. People will argue that it's not a Souls-like. I'm telling you, Danny's calling it a Souls-like, so fight me. But I've been playing Black Myth Wukong, and bruh, I'm having a good time. Not the doc. Where'd it go? I was showing the thing. Here we go. I am really enjoying this so far. So basically, you're playing as the Monkey King Wukong here. It's based on the story of Journey to the West, but it is. We talked earlier, I don't want to go down the whole Souls-like thing, but it does very much feel like a Souls-like. You can go in the intricacies of why it isn't or isn't. I think full transparency when you go in, if you're uncomfortable with things like Elden Ring, Dark Souls, etc., it has a lot of influences of that, while also having a lot of influences of things like modern God of War games. Like it's a mixture of both. But like even if you just watch this gameplay here, like not having your hands on it, like this screams Dark Souls. I don't care what you say, it screams Dark Souls. So essentially, not really spoilers, but you're starting from like a basic level, right? Where you have like not really anything to you. You basically just have your staff, but then you have the combinations of spamming square to do like a big light combo. And if you hold triangle, you can do a heavy attack, which is there's the big jump up and smack. This is one of those tutorial fights where you're like, you just kind of have a little bit of everything to start. Where I'm at now, I'm about 4.5, 5 hours in. I've beaten, I'd say like 6 bosses, I think. It is very boss heavy. I think in the comparison to other Souls games, like there's a lot of explore this open area, find the things, beat some of the small guys, go to a boss. This was very like intro tutorial area, figure out how to move, how to traverse, how to do everything, find that first boss, go around the corner, there's another boss. Go through a thing, beat up a bunch of skeletons, there's another boss. Once you beat that boss, open the door, there's another boss. So I'm like, wow, there's a lot to fight so far. Some I have just bodied. I've just been like, sorry, I'm coming in for the first try. I sat in a call with my buddies Kanai and Chris last night. For some reason, mine installed slower than theirs, which kind of pissed me off, even though I started my install first. So I was ready to fight. But it did the thing where I got to play early. And then when I hit the point of like, we're still installing, I'm like, no, why are theirs? I want to keep playing. So I was a little bit behind, but eventually I caught up. But I know one of the bosses, Chris specifically, he was like, I struggled with this. It took me like 5 or 6 tries. And I went and did him on the first try. He's like, what the fuck, Danny? I'm like, sorry. I'm just that good. I'm really good. I know Kanai said, and I quote, Danny, I need you to play more Souls-likes because I really like when you yell at them. And I did this thing. There's this guy, he's like a serpent. Well, spoiler, sorry. He's like a fish-ish dude in like a lake. And when you beat his stage 1, he turns into a serpent and you have to fight him again. And he does this cutscene where he like gets down in the water. Oh, well, now I have to show you my true form. And then I died like 5 times, but every time you go back, the same cutscene plays. So he's like, you forced my hand. Now I have to show you my true form. And like the one time I interrupt, yeah, shut up. Okay, yeah, your true form. Up, you're a snake. Bah, 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 bah. He kills me. I go back in. I'm like, hey, he's like sitting there monologuing, and he's like, you you've come against my people. I don't know what the fuck he was saying. I got so pissed, but I'm like, all right, buddy, fine. So I just threw one of my supers at him, which like puts a bunch of snakes in the ground. They like spit acid at him, and he gets interrupted. I'm like, yeah, keep talking, monologue, go for it, buddy. And I don't even know what I say half the time when I'm playing these, but when I'm like doing really well, I'm such a shit talker. I'll just go. But this is really fun so far. I don't know how long this game is going to be. There's the thing where I believe it gives the vibe of not indie. This gives big AAA vibes, but it's a Chinese studio, Game Science. I think they've done just a lot of mobile games up to this point. On all research I've done, this is definitely indie. So like, if I'm wrong, I need facts and figures. Someone needs to show me the ownership here, but I'm pretty sure it's just indie. But it's so polished. It's so clean. I've had a few issues, and this might just be the Souls-like formula or just missing, but like I'll charge up like a heavy attack that just kind of goes through and doesn't do the damage, which really sucks when like I've got this guy here gave me the most trouble. I probably had to fight him like 20 times, maybe more. He's a big ass bitch. I hate him. But he just these moments here where I'm like, I'm going to stagger this dude, and then my staff goes through him and doesn't do damage. And then because of that, I didn't stagger him. He gets to like beat the shit out of me for like 4 turns in a row. I'm like, fuck. And like, I would get so frustrated. I could feel that heat of like my head getting hot where I'm like, I want to beat this, but like, I can see myself getting so much closer to the end of the health bar where like, I have to keep going. And this is where I have to be like, I get it, guys. I get it, Souls-like fans. I understand why you enjoy this. I totally get it. But also, this is such a flash in the pan. Oh no, I'm gonna show you this. It's the same fucking guy but gold. Shut the fuck up. But yeah, I get it, and I think it is such a flash in the pan of like, there's no chance all Souls-likes are gonna be for me after platinuming another Crab's Treasure earlier this year. This is another case of like, I'm really into this one. I think it's the tone, the setting, the formula. I think this really fits everything that I want in a game like this. And I know if I play this, people are like, dude, you're gonna play Elden Ring 2 or whatever the fuck's next. I'm like, nope, probably not gonna happen. But you give me another Black Myth Wukong, again, not beating the game, I have no idea what happens. But I'm like, hey, listen, maybe that'd be pretty cool. But it's fun, it's challenging. I see back and forth of like, it's easier than Elden Ring, it's harder than Elden Ring. I would say from what I did in Elden Ring, I think I've had an easier time in Black Myth Wukong. I think the one boss that really, the couple bosses that really challenged me in Elden Ring, I still beat the most challenging boss in this game faster than those. But, you know, everything's different. Every boss is different. Everybody's typical gameplay flow, etc. But basically, we're going to finish here. I'm going to grab dinner, and then I'm back in. I'm going to play more Black Myth Wukong. Yeah.
Can you like choose your difficulty, or is it like one difficulty?
No difficulty. One difficulty setting. At least that I've seen. I didn't check for any accessibility options. I should go back and do that. Leveling up seems pretty quick though, and maybe that's what kind of changes the difficulty for you, where you get sparks. So as you're defeating enemies, you're charging up these sparks each time you get it's basically a skill point. And I don't think it's shown in the footage, but the skill trees are like expansive. There's 2 main trees, one that affects your stances, which kind of changes like, here's the skills I can do and what each of those does. And then there's just like regular stuff. You can increase your health, your stamina, etc. And then each of those will have like a scale to them. So like the health has like 5 or 6 points into it, which I basically maxed out this. I think I have like 2 steps left. But I just increase my max health every time I get a spark, and then increase my max stamina. There's a cool ability with the staff where if you're running at somebody, you do one of those like cool like bow staff like spin really fast and you like block stuff. Which you can use to block arrows, because there's some fucking wolves in this game, Tofr. And it's like an old man. He's like, I'm an old man wolf. But he's just like, and he'll shoot like 10 arrows at you back to back. I'm like, you're annoying. I hate you. But when I found out about the staff, I'm like, oh, you're done. Because I just block them all. And then when you hit the heavy attack, you dash forward, bam, one shot. I'm like, you're a bitch. You're dead to me. Take that.
Nice.
But yeah, the challenge is really fun so far. I just finished chapter 1 for anyone who has played. This is the fish guy I was talking about. For anyone who has played, and for context, yeah, I just finished chapter 1. I'm starting chapter 2. But it's cool. It's dope. I don't know if it'll be, I could see being in my top 10. I'll see as it fluctuates as I get further close to the end of the year. I will be shocked. Before I say I'll be shocked, we're in a spot with the Game Awards where everyone's trying to figure out, does DLC count for a Game of the Year nominee? Where like last year we had Cyberpunk DLC that I don't think was nominated for Game of the Year. I might be wrong. I'd have to double check. But I'm like, I think if we are including DLC, Elden Ring will be in the nominations. If we don't include DLC, I could easily see this filling that Elden Ring slot. I think there's enough polish. I think as of last night, like 2 hours after release, it was at like 1 million concurrent players. On Steam,
I saw that.
which was, and I'm playing on PlayStation, so like I'm sitting here thinking like Steam alone was 1 million players. I want to see those group numbers with Xbox, PlayStation, and Steam, but man, just 3 dudes chilling in Discord chatting together. I know my other 2 friends are like, I don't get home till like 9 o'clock tonight, and then I have to go to bed for work in the morning. I'm like, brother, I feel so bad for you. And he's the Wukong guy. Connor, I love you. Connor's the Wukong guy who's just like, I haven't played yet. And I'm so upset. I'm like, buddy, I love you. I'm so sorry. It's fast. It's a lot of dodging. It's a lot of smacking. It's a lot of just dying over and over again. This fucking fish boy. Dumb. Let me find this. I'm gonna find this cutscene where he fucking tells me that I can't. Here it is. Here it is. You beat him, right? So you're like, I'm gonna get you. And then hold on. I got him. Ready? Smack. Sorry, audio listeners. He goes, oh, you forced my head. Then he has to fucking get up and do his staff thing. Now, I don't know if this is one where I skipped because I got tired of fucking hearing him, or if... Okay, I did. But yeah, so he's just like, you've pissed me off, monkey. I don't think... They do say it a lot, and I make this joke, right? Weird episode to bring it up in the episode we just talked about POCs in video games. We're not going to go that way. Yeah, I made the joke when we played Monkey Simulator, right? Where it's a guy going like, yeah, get away from me, monkey. I will make the joke every time someone in the game's just like, well, the monkey's here. I'm like, you can't call me that. You can't call me that. And like, just a funny haha. Like, it makes myself laugh, you know. But yeah, it's cool. Fuck, the button doesn't work. Full screen. There we go. Yeah, I'm really enjoying it. I'm excited that in just a few hours I'll be playing some more of it and procrastinating on probably more important things in life. Importanter. It's really cool. I like Black Myth Wukong. Check it out.
Okay.
Oh boy. But I've also been playing something else, but redacted. However, if all things go according to plan, this time next week, you should be able to know. Ooh. Oh, but I can't do timestamps because the stream deck's broken. So we'll figure that out later.
Oh no.
Anyway, that's what we've been playing. So it's time to talk about what we could be playing next with this week's releases in indie gaming. We're talking August 22nd through August 20. I didn't change it. It says August 20. How do you say it? 28th. I didn't change the TH. It's still an ST. So 20. Could have went from 21st, 28th. That's crazy. Coming August 22nd to PC, we have Tactical Breach Wizards. You added this like last minute, but it's like an XCOM with wizards who have guns and shit.
Yes.
That's pretty cool. I'm definitely down to check that one out. Then we have Galaxy Burger coming out August 23rd for Steam. Anyone who likes their classic, like not Diner Dash, but those ones where you just stand at a station and build the burgers and the hot dogs and everything. This is that, but I think it's in space. I'm not entirely sure, but
cool.
I believe it's pronounced Astic. I'm not really sure. Another very Hollow Knight-esque looking game. I think if people see it, you'll be like, oh, I've seen this on like Twitter and shit. Coming out on August 5th for Steam. Then we have Endzone 2 coming out on August 26th on PC and Early Access. We have Crypt Custodian coming out August 27th for PlayStation, Xbox, Switch, and PC. And then finally we have Core Keeper coming out August 27th for PlayStation, Xbox, Switch, and then I see PC. Is it Early Access still? Is that what it is? I know I have Crypt Keeper. I have Core Keeper. Crypt Keeper's a different game.
It's Early Access at the moment.
Okay.
Well, I'm guessing that's going to be the 1.0.
Yeah, so 1.0 and then console release. Cool. Yeah, Core Keeper's one that like I have sitting there and I want to play it. I don't do survival games very often. If it gets the itch, cool. Core Keeper looks like one I really dig. And I just, whenever I pull the damn trigger, you know.
Yeah.
One day. But yeah, that's what's coming out this week. Let us know if you're going to play any of those fun-looking games. And then to round out the episode, don't forget you can write into the show and tell us what your favorite indie game is, just like Cartoon Burb did once again. I have a couple for Burb, so buckle in. Unless you guys don't want to hear Burb's name anymore, then you got to write in yourselves. But Burb wrote in says, Unpacking. I love its ability to convey an entire beautiful story without a single word. Just game features and boxes. Plus, I mean, gay game for a gay boy kisser. Fucking Burb. I should have proofread this. I didn't realize what he wrote. We have the dumb joke, right? Where like it's the funny poke fun at each other in Twitch chat. I'm like, oh, Burb kisses boys. Burb's a boy kisser. Like, so I did not check that. But yeah, we've definitely talked about Unpacking before. I think I added a thing onto the doc where I'm like, what's a game you like think would be good for the book club? And I think Burb also wrote it with Unpacking, which I think is definitely a great one to bring up at some point to replay. And I've already platinum it twice. I don't know if I got to play it again, but we'll see. But man, Unpacking is beautiful. It is one of my favorite ways that a game tells a story because it's all about what you unpack and like how difficult it is to place things because you're realizing like this doesn't really fit for me. And like this couple is like, we might be really good, but for some reason, like I feel like I don't fit here, and you can tell by like the colors of the rooms and the clothing and how much space is left for you and the things that are important to you, but not him. And it's a masterpiece. Unpacking so good.
It is.
Yeah.
I really wish that they would make more games like this, and I know they're working on something completely different.
Mm-hmm.
And I wish them all the best of luck with that.
Yeah.
But I really wish we got another Unpacking.
Let me know. Unpacking 2 Electric Boogaloo? Let me in. I'll voice. I can't voice anybody. There's no voicing in Unpacking. Shit. I'll be the box. I want to be the box in Unpacking 2. or if we go for the plushie thing again, we'll just make like a one of those plush pillows of the gnome in the game.
Oh.
That'd be cool. That'd be
cool.
lit. But yeah, if you haven't, please play Unpacking. It's so good.
Mm-hmm.
It's so good.
Is it still on Game Pass? Let me check.
Great question. I'm gonna check and see what the price is on Steam.
It goes on sale for like half off pretty often.
Like right now, it's on sale for $9.99 until the end of the month, until August 29th. So not quite the end of the month, but basically the end of the month. Yeah, it's right now $10 on Steam. Normally 20. 20 is still less than it's worth.
And it's still on Game Pass.
And still Game Pass. There you go, baby. It might still be on PS Plus as well. Some of you might have to check that. I remember no, I must have had, because I own the PS5 version. And I was able to download and play the PS4 one to get that second plat. So I think it's also on PlayStation Plus if you have premium or extra. So you almost have no excuse. Unless you're one of the Switch kids, then you just got to buy it. But, oh boy. But Burb, thank you again so much for writing in. Let us know what your favorite indie games are. Again, even use the comment sections on the platforms if that works better for you. And you don't want to go use a Google form. We'll have those available to you. But with that is a wrap on this episode of Playlog Podcast. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed, please do me a favor and like the video. And if you're on Spotify, audio platforms, anywhere, be sure to leave that 5-star review. It really helps the show. More people find it. We would love to have that extra growth because of your help. Thank you ever so kindly. Tofr, if the people on the interwebs wanted to find you, where would they go?
Listen. If they go to Linktree/PlayNiceKids, all in one word, you can find all of the links. And there's none of this underscores or dots or anything. Just go to Linktree/PlayNiceKids in one word.
There you go. Oh, I see you put that Playlog Podcast on the top. Yeah.
Obviously.
I actually had to pause here for a second because I saw the X. I'm like, oh, you didn't fill this one out. I'm like, oh, that's the fucking platform. Shit. Do you change your banner recently, or has this always been your banner on Twitter, on X, whatever?
I think, let me check.
The like purple and pink like sky with the logo and stuff.
Oh, I think that's always been
okay. Maybe just never.
Well, ever since I changed my logo.
For sure.
That has been the banner.
It's pretty, man. If you guys want to see it, you should go follow on X using that link.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Go.
And then, of course, you can find me on all platforms at CGDannyB, Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat. Not Snapchat. I don't use Snapchat. TikTok, YouTube, and Twitter. Twitch, all of them. It's a long episode. It's a long day. I just want to fight things with the staff. So, thank you guys so much for watching. We'll see you guys in the next one.